Yo, yo, it's the Red Blue Podcast crew. Reviewing flicks, both old and new. Red and blue, not political. Nah, man, chill. It was Marvel versus DC till we lost that thrill. Don't stress the episode, don't ask the season. We double up franchises, don't ask for a reason. He's got rules that nobody gets. His takes on movies, they're wild as it gets. He's got superbald Mac and Gray by his side. Trying to keep it sane while they're in for the ride. Both these measures are out of control, but in the end he's got the final role. Yeah, that Blue Podcast, come check the scene. Movies old and new, know what I mean?
And we are live talking about Beverly Hills Cop from 1984. How are you, Superbald?
I'm doing all right, you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about that very funny and interesting movie. What about you, Matt? How are you today?
I'm fine. Happy to be here to talk about a movie I love, and this movie I chose this movie for the podcast, so I'm very excited to have your opinion about that. So yeah, I'm happy to be there.
Thank you for choosing. You kind of already answered the first question I had, so yeah, that's cool, man. Thank you for choosing that. I guess we move on to the second kind of intro. So, why choosing Beverly Hills Cop, Matt? Why did you choose that?
Yeah, good question. Uh, this one classic I never seen before the release of the four statement from Netflix. A few weeks before I decided to see all the movie of the trilogy of Beverly Cop. And man, it was such a interesting experience to watch. The first one is just a classic about the 80s, 90s for so many things. It's one of the best movie of Eddie Murphy. This is a movie create the aura about Eddie Murphy because in the time he was not famous. He started his career in Hollywood. It was a comic from SNL before that, and this will give him the aura he have need to create this career on Hollywood. So yeah, but something interesting about this project is this project has so many issues in the production. I like to learn about that. I don't know if you know that, but Eddie Murphy was not the first actor for the role of Alex Foley. Initially, it was Mickey Rourke, a famous actor of the 1890s. Today, he most known for he played the bad guys in the Iron Man 2. He was the Russian with the whip and yeah,
Whip.
the whip. But in the 18 and 19, he was a big actor for drama and action. And the first concept of the Billy Cop was an action movie with him. But he leave the project because the project not start. And after that, there was Sylvester Stallone who has the role of Axel Foley, and he take the script and rewrite the script to be more drama, more profound
Or deep.
story. And 2 weeks before the production start for the movie, he leave because he tried many times to create his own vision about the project, and the production not very like that. So he said, okay, fuck off, and I leave the project. And at this moment, the producer, the script try to see the new vision for the project, and he choose to take Eddie Murphy for the role and change the way the movie was made. Now the movie more is become a comedy with action. Before that, the comedy was just a little bit in the movie, and the story is become this movie become the story of the cinema for what he has. I'm happy to see this movie. Like I say, I never see the movie when I was young. I decided to watch this one and the other for the release of the fourth one on the Netflix. I was intrigued to see why Netflix decided to revive this franchise. So yeah, I understand for the first one. The first one is iconic for so many points. After that, the sequel is good. Is a good sequel, and the third one is a letdown. Is a very bad movie. Is a bad movie.
Always the third one. Always the third one.
Yeah, yeah. And the four kind of revived the franchise, and we can see in the fourth one like the fourth one is much closer the one in the two than the three. So yeah, and for the movie today is a perfect movie about balance in between action and comedy with great Eddie Murphy. Is surfing all the movie. He'll talk non-stop all the movie. The gag non-stop. He shoot a gag another, and he works so well in the story. And I like the intro. The intro of the movie is a good example. All this movie is so well done. The chase and the Detroit with the truck and Murphy try to not fall and it's so funny and epic to see and the intro when he come to Beverly and he see another world because the concept of the this movie he take a cup from Detroit and put in the Beverly so he discover a new world of for a cup and try to navigate and that so interesting to see that and to see the Beverly and of the at 19 is another world of the United States. So yeah, the movie is very funny to discover. Like I say, one of the best role of Eddie Murphy in this career. And the I would say last thing, and I want your opinion on that. The one the man works so perfect for the movie is the soundtrack. The soundtrack is so 90s, so well done, and the theme song so
Theme
iconic.
song.
Theme song is so
Mm.
iconic. Is that the way this movie is an example how to do a good theme song and a good soundtrack for a movie. All theme song work for the perfect for the movie. It rests in your mind after that. The theme song I repeat in myself in my head after I see this movie. So good. So yeah, I want to hear about you if you love this movie, what you can think about that. For me, I understand why it's a classic, and now it's a classic for me. I want to rewatch the movie again and again. I see this movie 2 times now, and I'm not tired to see this movie again. I'm not sure I will do that for the other one. The second one is I want to see again, but the third I will skip this one. You understand when you see it. I think Superbald can understand why. Yes, Superbald.
He knows
Yeah.
it. He
Mm,
knows it.
yeah.
Just say the third one. The action take place in like, what the name the attraction park.
Yeah. Imagine if like an action movie took place in that own. That's what it's like.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. All the action takes
Yeah.
place in the action park, but with not budget. The bad guys is is no charisma. The stories not make sense. See, the only one the Murphy, Alex Foley have a romance, but the romance is just there to be there, and
And strangely enough, in the third movie, there is a George Lucas cameo.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. So yeah, the first one you need to see this movie. It's a classic of this era, and yeah. And so I want to hear you about that.
Perfect. Well, I will let Superbald talk about that classic now. What did you think of that classic, Superbald?
Oh, I love this movie. I had not seen it in a very long time, but I saw this movie a lot when I was young because it was very popular, and also my best friend had it on VHS. And I grew up in a small town where there was really not a whole lot to do, so a lot of movies, and we watched this one a lot. But it's such an iconic movie, very quintessential '80s. Um, And as Matt was explaining, it started out as sort of more of a just straight action flick and went through development hell and different leading people, and then they landed on Eddie Murphy and basically created the action comedy genre. It didn't really exist before this. There was the only other movie that was sort of like that was 48 Hours, which had come out maybe 2 or 3 years before this, and also starred Eddie Murphy. Um, but this is what really started, and it was directed by Martin Brest, who also directed another movie we reviewed recently, Midnight Run. And that's why a lot of the secondary characters are played by a lot of the same actors that were in Midnight Run, like John Ashton was also in Midnight Run.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because I think Midnight Run came out maybe 2 years after this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, this really created the action comedy genre, and then there was like a whole slew of them that came out until like the late 90s, and a lot of them were terrible, but there were a lot of good gems that came out of that too. And of course, Eddie Murphy is this is like probably his best movie. He had his, or actually, no, I would say Coming to America is his best movie, but this is a close second. I love Coming to America, but this one is a close second, and he's just, I think it's almost as if this movie, you would think this movie was tailor made for him, but it wasn't. He just kind of fell into it. But it's just, he's at his best in this. Axel Foley's a great character. Master improviser, bullshitter, sharp as a tack, very intuitive.
Yeah.
His dialogue is amazing in this, like one liner after another. He's just amazing. And he was very young when he made this. I think he was like maybe 24. He was really
Wow.
young. Yeah, because he got cast on Saturday Night Live, I think when he was like 19. I think 18 or 19. He was really young, and this was like really almost at the peak of his popularity, because I think this came out just around the time he left Saturday Night Live, and the year before he had his concert movie Delirious, which was a big hit. And I also still love Delirious. I still think it's hilarious. Um, but yeah, this movie is just amazing. I love it was kind of a trope long before this movie, but the trope of the rogue cop who doesn't follow the rules and bends the rules to get the job done, and has to teach the stuffy by the book people how to get things really done. It's an old trope. Existed long before this movie. Existed long after this movie. You don't really see it all that much anymore. I think just because it got overused and became such a cliche. But it's used very effectively in this movie. And also the stark difference between like a really poor, impoverished police station in a really poor, impoverished part of American Detroit, and a police station in one of the richest neighborhoods in the States, in Beverly Hills, where all the rich movie stars live. Um, yeah, and just to drive home how 80s this was, the bad guy, Victor Maitland, in front of his house, yeah, there's a friggin' DeLorean parked in front. And this is actually before Back to the Future came out and the DeLorean became iconic. But I noticed there was actually a DeLorean parked in front of his house. Amazing cast, other than Eddie Murphy, obviously, but John Ashton as Taggart, Judd Reinhold. He was kind of not really a big A-list actor, but he was a steady working actor and you saw him in a lot of movies in the 80s and 90s, and I haven't seen him in anything in a long time. He played Billy Rosewood, the more naive of the two cops. Victor Maitland's played by Steven Berghoff. He is a great actor. I've seen him in lots of stuff. He was in Barry Lyndon, also had a small role in Clockwork Orange. He played a very memorable role in an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine as an arms dealer. I've seen him in lots of stuff. He's a great actor, and he just played this role perfectly. Serge,
Yeah.
played by Bronson Pinchot. Bronson
What?
Pinchot was on a very famous sitcom in the '80s called Perfect Strangers, but this is before Perfect Strangers. I think it's like the year before Perfect Strangers. And in Perfect Strangers, he plays an immigrant from a fictional island called Mypos, but he uses an accent very similar to what he used for Serge. Um, and it's just
So weird
amazing.
character.
Yeah, and he's in the first three movies. I haven't seen the fourth one. I don't know if he makes an appearance in the fourth one. If and I know you've seen him out, but I don't want to know if he's in there. I want that to be a surprise.
Okay.
But yeah, and Malta, you might remember him, Bronson Pinchot. He was in True Romance. Uh,
Yeah,
he
I
was the
now I remember. You're
yeah
right.
he would like there was a scene in True Romance. He got stopped by the cop and he accidentally uh, out of his wallet fell out a little bag of coke. That's that dude. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and of course Zach is played by the great Jonathan Banks, who you. I don't know if you guys ever watched Breaking Bad, but
Yeah.
He's Mike from Breaking Bad, Mike the
I
Yeah.
did
cleaner.
see most of season one, but I kind of stopped
No, he.
because
I don't think he's in season one. He comes in later. Uh,
Season 3, I guess. And
yeah,
I didn't see that then.
but
yeah.
he's one of the iconic character of the TV show, and the
Mhm.
character come back for the prequel, Better Call Saul.
Mm,
And you have more development in this in the prequel. Jonathan Banks, phenomenal actor, and in this movie he played just the henchman of the villain. He's just there to punch and kill.
And he barely has any dialogue, but he's just
Yeah,
like, but his look is just like he's very menacing. He play like he's one of those actors who can convey a lot of emotion, but without saying anything. Um, and of course, Inspector Todd, who is Axel Foley's boss, was played by a guy named Gil Hill, who has sadly passed away. But he was a real life cop for many years, and at the time this movie was made, he wasn't some involved in Detroit politics. He wasn't the mayor or anything, but he worked for the city in some capacity as in the mayor's office or something like that. And he wasn't an actor. I'm not exactly sure how he got into this movie, but essentially he was playing himself with a different name. He said that like the only difference between him and the character was that he doesn't swear as much in real life. But this is like the only he appeared in the first three Beverly Hill Cops movies, and this is the only acting the guy ever did. And he was just amazing. I loved him. I wish this dude had been in more things because after Beverly Hills Cop came out and it became popular, he was actually offered other acting roles and he turned them down. Um,
and they don't know that.
yeah,
I don't know if you know that, but this is the first movie for Damon Wayans.
Damon Wayans. Yes, he plays the banana guy,
Yeah,
the fruit guy. Yeah, Damon
yeah,
Wayans, who Molly might know who he is, but he was a big comedian in the '90s. I think he's fallen off the map a bit. I haven't heard about him in a while, but him and his brothers, the Wayans brothers. They were big in the '90s. They had their sketch TV show in living color. They made a bunch of movies.
you have done
Uh,
the scary movie. I remember.
yes, they're the gang who's done all those scary movies and a lot of those other types of movie genre parodies. But yes, that was his first movie, and yeah, Ronnie Cox is in this, playing a very Ronnie Cox type of role. Um, but yeah, and as Matt said, like the soundtrack to this is very iconic. The theme song to this movie and a lot of the other songs in the soundtrack, I just remember those being on the radio a lot when I was a kid in the '80s. I don't want. Let's just say I was alive when this movie came out. I was very young, but I was alive. um, yeah, it's just I have nothing else to say, but yeah, I just love this movie, and I just watched it so many times with my friend Mario when we were kids, and yeah, yeah, nothing else to say.
I understand that, and I want to add something about the movie. I like the way the character of Alex Foley
Mm.
manipulate everybody. Like when he take a room, hotel room, he
Yeah,
manipulate the
exactly.
receptionist.
Master,
To,
he's a master bullshitter, a master
yeah,
improviser.
The character is so funny to follow for that. In the
Yeah.
moment the movie, he become he fake gay to
Yeah.
to
Yeah, when he's like, yeah, he's like, oh, the clinic called, and apparently I had herpes simplex, and
so
and just
funny.
yeah, no, he's just amazing, and he's pretending to be a customs agent, and yeah, he's just amazing.
Yeah, I like this idea for the character. He's a cop, but he used some unique way to succeed this mission. So
Hmm.
yeah, I like that.
Okay, well, I'm the last one to get into it because guys kind of shared everything you had to say. I think, I guess, I
Pretty
assume.
much,
Um, I enjoyed that movie a lot, and I will start by saying, if this movie was made in 2025, you can expect and guess a lot of people would say this movie is woke because it stars a black lead and it speaks, and it's subtle about it, but it speaks about racist people. Like, it's hinted and it's kind of subtle when
yeah.
he get rejected for a hotel room. It's because
Hmm.
he's black, and there's a lot of that in the movie. That's the biggest example I do remember. But
I
I
don't I don't think it's really they're rejecting because he's black. It's because he doesn't have any money, and he's just
He look poor.
he's bullshitting his way into the hotel room.
I thought that was because he was black. Maybe I was seeing a
No, I think he was just
racist
like because
thing.
it was a nice fancy posh hotel that he couldn't afford. So he made up the story about being a reporter from Rolling Stone and he was going to interview Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And when he saw that they weren't buying his story, that's when he went on his whole spiel to try to make them feel bad.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I misunderstood that part then. But still, I still feel like that movie would
But I
have.
do agree with you. There's some parts of this movie that would probably come off as woke if it was made today.
But
Yeah.
you got an example of what we talk. The scene when he went to see the violent the bad guys, and the bad guy take him through the window, and the cop arrive and arrest him. He like, man, I'm the victim here. I'm not. He just the cop arrest him. He's like, what the fuck? You can see the scene he like he there to talk
Yeah,
about
true.
racism.
Yeah, and they took the like because they had lied to the cops and they said, oh, he came in here and started messing stuff around and breaking stuff, and they just took them at their word. They didn't actually do an investigation. They just took him at their word and arrested him.
The scene is
And I
an
think and
example.
the only reason he didn't end up in jail is because they realized he was a cop.
Yeah.
So okay, maybe there were indeed a bit of racism. So maybe I was half right.
Yeah, I would say you were right about at least that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I must say I enjoyed that movie. The humor was on point. I did laugh a lot throughout. Sorry about that. The action was
It's
on
allergy
point.
season. I'm in the same boat.
And there was rewind. There was only one issue I had in the entire movie, and that's a bit nitpick. And it's in the final firefight. The aiming of the bad guys was unbelievably bad. Like, how many of them just shoot, down, 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 rifle the
Yeah,
entire
and
place?
not only that, they were the cops. Ooh, excuse me, the cops were greatly outgunned because they had little pistols and these guys had machine guns. You know,
And they,
by all logic, by all rights, the cops should be dead.
I think
yeah,
it is a trope
Yeah,
of this
yeah,
area.
it is. It's a trope of movies in general. I find the good guy hits everybody. The bad guy can't hit a barn door.
I was very much bothered by it, but that's very like very much in the very end because
Mhm,
I feel like most of the movie made sense up to that point, and I was entertained. And guys mentioned it, the music, the
mhm,
music, I adored it.
mhm,
Cool music. We need more music like that in
mhm.
movies. Maybe people would go to the movies again.
The
Um,
heat is on. Yeah, they don't really make like soundtracks, like iconic soundtracks for movies anymore, or very rarely.
we
They
had Alien Romulus last year, and I remember the
uh,
Batman very well. Uh, these are like the top scores
Hmm.
in recent memories I do have. But you're right, they don't do these anymore. Um, what else? What else? Um, it's funny how the main character talked his way into way too many things. Guys said it like he was talking BS all the time, and it
Hmm.
kind of worked because some people do make it work. And I feel like the main villain had so much charisma. It's wow.
Hmm.
For a movie from the 80s, I will
Hmm.
be honest, 80s and 90s, uh, sometimes villains are forgettable, but
They're very flat and like cartoony kind of thing. Yeah, this one it was. Well, I guess that Steven Berghoff is a great actor.
it worked very well, and
Hmm.
I latched onto it. And the friend's death, we barely knew the guy, and when he died, that was kind of sad.
Hmm.
And it's the trigger for most of the story. It's a fun trigger. It's a fun start, and um, I said it, but I might be wrong on that one. But theme of societal racism was subtle and cool. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. Not quite sure. Um,
I don't know if it was intentional, but it's certainly there in the movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Axel investigating the case despite being told not to do so was cool. It was even better after he got thrown in jail for it. That was funny. I like that. The main character was arrogant based on his first argument he had with his boss after the car chase that destroyed lots of cars and others. Um, the main character not listening to his boss was peak. It's golden. I like that. Nice growth of the two cops that lied to the chief to help out. I think everyone has somewhat of a nice character arc in that movie, and that's fun. Sometimes in cop movies like that, you just focus on the action and the humor. But here, I feel like they really wanted to give a complete product where every aspect is really looked into
Hmm.
it, and they worked on that. And I found a very hilarious line. Police, you're under arrest. Then the bad guy shoot. That was that was peak.
And that's just to
That
show
was
how show how naive that guy is too.
He's like, don't move.
that was peak. Like I,
And
it's golden.
Hmm.
I don't have any other word. It's golden. Um, I will never say enough praise. Thank you for suggesting that, Matt. I did hear about that movie a lot, but I didn't really watch it because that's before my time. I'm a kid, you know. That's how it goes. If that movie is too old, I'm not watching it. It's like
you know,
a grandpa movie.
it's important to see the classic of the cinema, and particularly when the new statement release. Like I said a year ago, when the 4-1 was released on the Netflix, I decided it's time to me to watch the third other one, and I was happy to see the third the three movie. The last one is not good, but I'm happy to see him because Eddie Murphy is always funny to follow. But yeah, the first one such a classic, and then you need to see the second one. The second one is good. Is good. It's directed by Tony Scott. He's a great director of action movie, and he done a good job for the sequel. Some people sometimes say the second is better than the first. Not for me, but maybe for you. So yeah, you need to see some classic of the 19, the 18, and before that, I see 2 weeks ago, I see the first I Am the Legend, and it was released in 1963, and black and white. I decided to see this movie because Will Smith said the I Am the Legend 2 is a production this year. So I decided to know the origin of this universe. So I see the first adaptation of the I Am a Legend, and was it interesting to discover this movie. Sure, the movie is old. Sure, you can see the movie had not budget, but it's a classic for this time. I understand why. So is the concept when you love cinema, you need to explore each aspect of this art, and the classic is always classic is everywhere. You have old classic, new classic, and you don't need to see just the new movie. You need to explore, and I hope you try more and more that multi.
I ended up watching the old diehards. I did happen to see the first two back in the day, a long time ago, but recently I happened to rewatch these. And to get back to the sequels of Beverly Hill Cops, we'll talk about it backstage, but maybe we will cover them eventually at some point, at some extent, and every sequel, not just like the second one, because I feel like if we don't cover the third one, there's a missing piece of the puzzle. Um, anyway, I will ask the panel: are we adding anything else before we move on to the grade?
I don't really have anything else to add.
I think I'm done.
Okay, well, what would be your grade out of 10, Matt?
I would say, like I say, is a classic. I will try to not repeat myself, but it's a classic. A great, it's perfect balance between action and comedy. One of the best, maybe the best role of Eddie Murphy on this career, and one of the best movie of this time for what he have done. So for me, I would give like 8.5 of 10, maybe 9 for some aspect. It's a movie of this time. Like some point, I have some little issue with some little aspect of the movie. Like you have one female character in the movie. Is she not important for the narration? She's there for because you need one female in your movie, and I was like, okay, it's the 80s, and the 80s, the female character hasn't had the same importance of today. But man, it's something that I feel is not a good thing about the past of the cinema. But yeah, other than that, like maybe 8.5, maybe 9 of 10 for this movie.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing. What about you, Superbald? What would be your grade out of 10?
I'll admit that nostalgia might be coloring my grade a bit, just because I have so many fond memories of this movie, watching it with my best friend. But this is definitely going to be like a 9.5 out of 10 for me.
Interesting. We are very close by in terms of score because my only issue is the biggest nitpick you can have about something, people not aiming and such. My grade is a well deserved and well earned 9.9 out of 10. Very near perfection. It's all the way
9.9.
it's
Yeah.
all the way up there. It's around my top 30-ish movie ever. And
Yeah.
on recent memories, I've seen around 400, 500 movies in recent memories. I did watch lots of movies back then as a kid and as a teenager. I don't account for them. I just account on recent memories. So when you're around top 30 among 500, that's a good number. um, I enjoyed that movie a lot, and thank you for suggesting such movie.
You are
So
welcome.
I will ask Superbold, what do you have going on your end of the internet?
Not a whole lot. This podcast, pretty much.
Amazing. Well, thank you for coming most of the weeks when you can. That's amazing. I like such
Oh,
dedication.
I get a good kick out of this. It's real fun.
That's always a blast.
Since I
I love
started
watching movies.
appearing on the podcast, I've watched more movies than I have probably in the last 10 years.
Damn.
That's great. We love to hear about it. What about you, Matt? What do you have going on your end of the internet?
Like usual, I see movie and TV show. I write about them, but in French, so not for your audience. But other than that, I not have a life. I work and I'm a see TV show and cinema and gaming sometime. I'm not a passionate life other than talk cinema with you and your and Super and Gray when Gray is there. But yeah, same old, same old. And you, Multi.
Next Monday, I'm talking about politics again because Trump gets so much shit on, and it's hilarious. Outside of that, next Tuesday we talk about MCU movies, and we may have more people than usual because it's MCU and everyone has seen MCU. Outside of that, well, this week I don't know about a Daredevil. We will talk backstage, Matt and I, about Daredevil because things happen in life. Maybe tomorrow Dream Magazine will be covered on the channel if Chillmonger is available. Outside of that, next week, more movie talk and Daredevil for sure next week. Maybe not this week, I don't know. We will see how it goes. And we are out.
Yeah, Red Blue Podcast. Come check the scene. Movies old and new. Know what I mean? The Red Blue Podcast. Come check the scene. Movies old and new. Know what I mean?